Today's tapping video is going to be on a topic that I get asked about quite a lot in coaching sessions, and it's to do with boundaries, but it's also to do with speaking up. So we talk a lot about boundaries in coaching sessions, like how to discover what your boundaries are, how to stay in touch with the fluid process of boundaries. So that means being more aware of what your feelings are, like the feedback from your body, and then what they relate to in terms of a need, like what's driving that feeling, and whether that need is being met or not is going to determine what the feeling is. If the need's not being met, and to the degree that it's not being met, the feeling is perhaps going to be unpleasant, whereas if that need is being met and met sufficiently and in a good way, then that feeling is going to be very pleasant. So once you know what your needs are, then you can start to ask, well, what is it that I'm actually available for in this moment? Is this a yes? Is this a no? Is this a maybe? Ask me later. And then you can start to really serve yourself in a way that keeps you full and keeps you kind of vibrant, keeps you alive, so that you don't go down the route of people pleasing, you don't go down the route of kind of self-sacrifice for leading to embitterment and resentment and things like that, which are really not great for anybody, especially not for you, but not great for anybody else either. So with that in mind, one of the things that happens when you start to discover your boundaries and you start to like play with that territory is that you want to speak up about your boundaries. You want to say, oh, I want this, I don't want this, this is a yes, this is a no. And if somebody is trying to push on your boundaries, or if somebody's trying to encroach on your boundaries, that's often where we'll get into some kind of a nervous system response. It could be fight initially, which would be get off, back off, that kind of thing. It's a very fiery response. Another one could be, if that doesn't work, what we tend to default to then is flight. This is too much, I can't handle this, I'm going. The third one after that is if you can't get out of there, you feel, often a lot of people I work with tend to kind of go into a kind of a shutdown response, like a freeze response, and from that develop this kind of fawn type behavior, which is more like, I will try to please you and I'll try to keep you happy so that you don't eat me. I think I explained this in another video. So what I want to specifically target today is the fear of speaking up, the anticipatory fear of speaking up. So that could look like you're thinking about speaking up, you think you kind of know what you want to say, so maybe you play this scenario out in your mental theater, which is usually a sign that your nervous system is engaged and in some kind of arousal. It's like, I'm thinking about this scenario and then I'm thinking about what I would say in answer to that, and that can be for some future imagined scenario or some past reimagined scenario. And so then you start to think about what you would say, but then of course when it comes to the time to say that thing and you're in that situation, it's not quite as easy as the way that you perhaps rehearsed it in your mental theatre, because you're dealing with the feelings of it as well, the nervous system feelings. And so that's the stuff that we really want to get into today, is to try to shift some of this energy, get some things moving around the feelings that you would actually feel at the time when it comes time to speak up. And hopefully, I don't know where we're going to go with this, but I'll jump on it and we'll see. And hopefully it can get some things moving for you. So, as ever, if you want to begin tapping on the side of your hand, like so, take a deep breath in through the nose. Take a deep breath in through the nose and into the diaphragm. So as you breathe in through the nose, you expand the diaphragm. And as you let the breath go, you contract the diaphragm and squeeze the air out. Good. And see if you can try to engage your diaphragm while you're doing this tapping. Anytime that I remind you, I'll jump in and remind you during this tapping session, you can start to re-engage that diaphragm by expanding it on the inhale and contracting it on the exhale. Really squeezing everything up, just to get all of the air out and start to engage those core muscles. So on we go. Even though I feel afraid of speaking up, and I find the idea really scary, even thinking about it gives me the shivers, I feel overwhelmed by feeling, I'm going to do what I can to relax into this moment. Even though I feel all this fear of speaking up. And these feelings are really scary. And they're really overwhelming. And thinking about them now is making me scared. The thought of what I would say. The thought of being in that situation where I have to stand up for myself. I know what I want to do, but I'm worried I won't be able to do it. And that makes me really scared. I'm going to do what I can to come back to this moment and inhale and let the breath go. Even though I'm worried about not being able to speak up, I'm worried that I'll know all of these things I want to say, and when push comes to shove, I won't be able to say any of them because I'll be too afraid. And then I'll feel terrible because I won't have respected my own boundary, and that will be a cause for shame. And then I will feel worthless. And all those other feelings that come with that particular mental spiral. So even though I'm worried about all of that stuff, I'm going to do as much as I can to come back to this moment right here, right now. Inhaling into the belly. Letting go of the breath. And relaxing my feet into the ground. Beginning of the eyebrow. All this fear. All this worry. I really want to speak up. But I don't trust myself at the time. When the time comes, I don't trust myself. I think I'm going to be too scared. I think I'm going to be too overwhelmed. I'm not going to be able to say it. I'm going to stutter and stumble with my words. I'm not going to be able to get it out. And then I'm going to feel like an idiot. And then I'll have embarrassed myself. And that's going to feel even worse. So it's safer not to try. Safer not to bother speaking up at all. Safer just to let my boundaries get trampled on. Safer just to feel quietly resentful. And keep all that inside to myself. That's what feels safe. And I want to feel safe. I really want to feel safe. I feel so afraid right now. Even just thinking about it. And thinking about the consequences of it. I feel really, really afraid. I don't think I'm going to be able to stick up for myself. I never have before. So there's no reason I would now. So I'm just not going to bother. It's okay to sacrifice myself so that I can feel safe. At least that's how I've been living up until now. I wonder if it really is safe to sacrifice myself in that way. I wonder how long I can keep doing that for before I really start to pay a price. I really don't want to speak up. I would really rather pretend that everything's okay. Just to keep the peace. Keeping the peace has been really important to me. It's what I learned to do when I was young. When there was genuine threat. Maybe there still is genuine threat. And maybe that's just what it feels like. Either which way I could say right now, I don't feel safe. And I want to feel safe. I want to feel safe in my own body. I want to feel safe to speak up for myself. I want to feel safe setting boundaries. But some part of me feels too ashamed. Maybe that part of me lives from this shame. And perhaps doesn't feel I'm worth setting boundaries for. I wonder where I learned this idea. It feels painful to think about. It feels painful to think about. It feels really sad. How could I have learned this? It feels really sad. And I want to be here for myself. At the very least, show up right now to let myself have the experience of sadness. And help myself feel safe to feel that sadness. A more expanded part of me knows that sadness doesn't last forever. And that it's okay to feel sadness. And that it's okay to hold myself while I feel that sadness. And And it's okay to look after myself while I feel that sadness. Even though that might not have been what I learned when I was growing up. I want to learn that now. And I know I'm not always going to get it right. And that's okay. I'm not trying to reach a goal with this. Looking after myself is a practice. And maybe there were lots of ways that I was never shown how to look after myself emotionally while I was growing up. And that's pretty sad. But I still want to be here for myself right now. And even though I still feel afraid of speaking up, I'm going to try to hold myself while I feel that fear as well. It's not the response that I want. I don't want to feel afraid. It's really not what I want. I would like to think of myself as brave and strong and courageous. And maybe to some part of me, that means that I'll never feel fear. Well, maybe it's okay to feel fear. Maybe it's safe to feel fear and hold myself in that fear as loosely and as gently as I can. Breathing deeply in the diaphragm. Directly into that fear. I can always come back to my breathing. I don't have to get rid of the fear. I can breathe with the fear. And let that fear pass through me. Without holding on to it. I can loosen all my muscles. And I can let go of all tension. While having my experience of fear. And still step forward. Still say the thing I need to say. I can still say the thing I want to say. And I can still practice doing that. Little acts of courage. Breathing into the fear. Letting go of tension. Saying what I need to say. And being okay with who I am. Thinking about this fear. And all this remaining tension. Keeping it in place. I'm willing to let go of this pattern. And I'm willing to keep letting go. And I'm willing to keep breathing. As many times as it takes. Thanking my body for trying to warn me. Thanking my nervous system for doing its job. I don't know if the danger has passed. But right this moment I can handle it. And in every future moment, as long as I stay present, connected to my breath, connected to life, connected to my body. I'll be okay. Trusting my ability. And trusting my breath. Thanking my body. And letting go. Right arm under left arm on the shoulder, big deep breath. Expand diaphragm. Squeeze and let go. Big deep breath. Squeeze and let go. Big deep breath. Expanding diaphragm. Contract and let go. Big deep breath. Squeeze and let go. Shaking out the hands. Very good. So take a moment here to notice how that feels in your body. So what we've done there is we've combined a little bit of EFT tapping with some slow and rhythmic breath work, but you should be able to feel even the effects of making the breath slightly stronger, of breathing in a little bit deeper and exhaling a little bit deeper. And so staying connected to that in the moment, remembering where you are, remembering your presence, remembering your body, your sensations, your breath, is going to help you to move forward, like millimeter by millimeter through each moment. And with that, you can listen to your body. You can listen to when is the right thing to say and when is the right time to speak up and stay grounded and stay connected to the body as you face these uncomfortable and difficult circumstances. So that's pretty much everything from me. I would love to hear your feedback and comments in the section below. If you like that video, if you want me to do more, let me know. If you want me to cover certain other topics, I'll be doing a range of things that come up with my clients. If you're interested in coaching, then you can follow the link below to perceptionarchitecture.com, and there you'll find a lot of information on the type of coaching that I do using breathwork with EFT tapping and various other body-based somatic modalities to go into that kind of deep self-inquiry and start shifting around some of the wiring that makes you behave and act the way that you do in the situations that you do, and see if we can't shift and reprogram some of those beliefs. So thanks again for watching. I hope you got something from this video. Let me know and enjoy your day.